Welcome. We're going to have some fun today. I'm in a good mood. You know what? Life is great. I'm not going to lie. Life is hard, but life's also great. And so I want to share some of my great life with you through my lessons and ideas and messages. Now, a brief, we'll call it synopsis of who I am. I'm a guy that was given away as a kid in foster care, endured a kind of crazy childhood. From there, navigated the ups and downs. I got adopted by a very poor, all-white family, got a college scholarship after I got adopted. So I've had a lot of really kind of interesting parts of my life take place. This is my helmet from when I played. Was blessed to play in the NFL, had my first son, married my high school sweetheart, came out of the NFL. Life fell apart. I had this situation where I'm sitting there looking at life going, I had 2 more kids. It's a divorce situation. I'm living in this really small, crappy place in life. And I got 3 kids. I'm a present dad and my life was in a tank. I'm telling you this to just, you get to grasp who I am. I found a way to climb out of the hole through what I'm going to teach some of it today to build to a life where I get to travel the world and work with the Amazons, the PayPals, T-Mobiles. I was just in DC last week with Amazon. And so I get to go teach cool things. So my goal is to teach you from experience of life. And so as we go into these things, my thoughts to give you this message today of how to get feedback. I actually give feedback is a big piece of it too. But here's why. Every single stage of my life has always been based on me moving forward in ways that a lot of people wouldn't. I actually had this one moment where I was with BRENDON and a bunch of guys. If you guys know, like Russell Brunson and Dean Graciosi and Trent and Lewis, all these guys were at this spot in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And got him, Ethan Willis was part of the group as well. Goes, hey, Aunt, tell us your story. So I tell my story. And I had this message called Trust Your Hustle. And he goes, I don't like your message. I go, what do you mean? This is my thing. And he goes, no, it's not that I don't like you. He says there's a message and a messenger. The messenger tells the stories, has the one that he carries the message, but the message must connect. And he says, the thing I want to know about you is, how'd you navigate all these different parts of your identity to get here? The former foster kid, adopted by an all-white family, the young father, the met your father, the athlete, the non-athlete, business owner, divorced, remarried my wife, remarried your wife. Like, how did you? So I go, oh, it's just a lot of different parts. When I started looking back, I realized that at every stage of my life progression, someone gave me feedback. And I don't know about you, but there's different times in life where you're living a life, doing a thing, and someone in your life tells you something. You go, oh, I don't want to hear it. So you do one of 2 things. You go, you're not my friend. You don't respect and appreciate me because they told you something you didn't want to hear. Or you go, God, you're right. You're right. I got to get better. And when we look at that situation, approach it that way, positive things open up. And so for me, I had it take place when I was playing football, when I was a father, when I was going to the NFL. When I came home from the NFL, my life fell apart in front of me. And I was living in a 500 square foot studio apartment with all my kids on air mattresses next to my bed. Like, I got feedback from people in my life who go, Aunt, this isn't you. This is not the life you're meant to live. You're greater than this, man. Like, so I had to listen to it. And I didn't want to hear it at first, but then I let it settle in and I go, you know what? The truth is, all of us, man, we're the common denominator in all of our problems. All of us have us at the center of our problems, good or bad. That's a reality. So as we talk to this today, I'm going to give you actual structure. I'm a framework guy. Those who are new, I teach in process and framework so you can actually hear a lesson and go, oh, I get that. I can apply it. So I want you to do this. Get out a piece of paper, whatever it is. I want you to put LOVE, love, and give some space between it. Give me at least 4 sections, four lines, maybe 5 lines under each area. I'll tell you why we're going to fill it in. Here's why love is the word. I always hear people say, oh, you're giving somebody tough love. And I go, no, it's not tough love. It's actual love. What do you mean? Well, just because it's hard to hear and hard to say doesn't mean it's tough. In fact, the people that don't love you are the ones that let you do stuff that's detrimental to your life. And usually you don't want to hear, but it's the stuff you need to hear. But the ones who love you will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So when you look at giving feedback to somebody, it's not just about giving random feedback. It's about showing up and going, I'm going to give you some love. I'm going to tell you what you genuinely need to hear right now, but you may not want to hear because I love you enough to be the person you get mad at to get you better. There's a guy, it's not the funnest situation. There's a guy named Ruffin who was an athlete for the Las Vegas Raiders, and he was going 156 miles an hour, and unfortunately he hit somebody, killed somebody. That person lost their life. His life has now ended in terms of his career, and probably a lot more than that. And there's a statement, a social media clip going around where this guy talks about that situation. He goes, you know what's the problem? All these people who were his friends, supposedly, they didn't want to be the bad guy because he's the cool guy. They didn't tell him like, hey, probably shouldn't drink, probably shouldn't drive, probably shouldn't do that. They didn't give him what he needed here. They didn't take his keys from him. They didn't say, hey, sit down and stop, because they didn't want to make him mad. right? But would it be better if he's mad at you for a day or a weekend or a couple years than what's going on now? Because someone right now is sitting there going, I knew he was drunk. I knew he had his keys. He shouldn't have left the house. God, I wish I would have said something. But that person didn't love him enough to say what needed to be said so that person would get better. So we're going to talk about why it's important, how to do this today. I hope you guys understand the where I'm coming from. Now, I'm a football guy. What does that mean for you? Man, coaching is in my genes. I have been yelled at more times than a human being can probably mostly imagine about everything under the sun. It's the natural set point when you play sports, especially the high level I did in the NFL, that you just get yelled at. I don't care how great you think you are, man. You're going to get coached, and that's feedback. So I'm going to give you this feedback from a stance of like matter of fact, we'll call it, but it's all coming from love for me. So here's how it works. When we set up this structure and we progress through the idea of this love methodology to allow you to give feedback, here's what the first L stands for: to lead with intention. Write it down. L stands for lead with intention. Why do I say this? Well, what I think about when I'm giving feedback, and I'm about to give feedback, I have a company, I have two, I'm the CEO, I have teams, I have people that work in different areas, and I have to give feedback consistently, right? But here's what I want you to think about. When I'm about to give feedback, you know this happens in different ways. If there's someone you don't care about and you don't even care how it ends, what you do go is like, oh, I'm just going to say what I got to say. If they get pissed, they get pissed, right? You just say that. And the thing is, sometimes we will lead in with things abrasive, angry, mad, and we kind of don't care how the outcome plays out. But in that situation, it oftentimes plays out poorly, meaning you don't connect. Things go by the wayside. It's not a good position, right? So the idea is when we get into situations like this, we got to start thinking about, how do I want the end of this conversation to take place? Do I want it to be, we're still working together, we're still friends, we're still married, we're still in this, partnership for business, or do I just don't even care? Because if you don't care, that is going to frame up differently how you proceed, right? But if you do care, you must lead with the intention when you give feedback of, you know what, I'm going to go into this, I'm going to say what I have to say, but I got to remember that as I'm saying this, there will be an outcome. And how I think about the beginning of this has to be tied to what the outcome might be. Because a lot of us sometimes will say things, words will escape our mouths, and all of a sudden I go, oh, I wish I could have those words back. Because we didn't think about the intention of what we wanted to have happen at the end of the conversation. It's why they say when emotion is high, intelligence is low. When I'm amped up and I'm angry, I just say things, hurtful things, and I go, man, I wish I could get it back. So we want to think about that in advance of how do I actually think about the intention of what I want this conversation to play out to be.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.